Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Ranger Legacy, where we're going to talk about episode 4 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, A Pressing Engagement. Now, usually I have some other stuff to talk about before we get right into the episode, but this time we're just going to get right into the episode. Now, the episode opens with Jason trying to beat a bench pressing record at the youth center, which we later find out was held by Bulk. Now, Kimberly, at this point, Ernie's keeping count for Jason of how many bench presses he's done. And Kimberly asks him, and Ernie has a mouthful of sub and makes it some kind of inaudible, we don't know what he's saying noise. And Kimberly's kind of a dick to him at this point. Now, unfortunately, the guy that played Ernie passed away in 2008 from a heart attack. And at the time, he was trying to lose weight. He quit smoking. He lost like 40 pounds, I think I read. But he still unfortunately passed away. Now, moving on from that, Zach runs into Kimberly popping a bubble, which makes Jason drop the weights, which leads Rita to state that Jason isn't as strong on his own. Which, if Kimberly and Zach hadn't been there, he probably would have beat the bench pressing record in reality. Bulk, this episode, is defeated by Jason tickling him, and then subsequently Bulk ends up ripping his pants, which I don't get there. But then they're told there's a monster at the children's playground park. This is the first time we hear Zordon say the words unknown monster, because Zordon usually knows who the monster is right away. The monster this episode turns out to be King Sphinx, which, if you're familiar with the tour lines, King Sphinx from Mighty Morphin was the villain that had the most versions of a toy. He had like Mega Monster sized, normal monster sized. There was like miniature monsters of them. There was those little rubber like Ultimate Muscle guys of them. He had a lot of toys. He was even on the cover of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers board game. So he's like one of the most well known one episode villains. He flaps his wings so hard he sends Kimberly and Zach back to the youth center unmorphed when they were morphed in the fight. I just think that's pretty badass, honestly. And then Jason's getting his ass kicked, essentially, by Big Goldar and Big King Sphinx. And Zordon reveals the power crystals, something else, along with the power weapons that he had kept hidden from the Rangers until right now. Then they show up to help Jason. We see a fight in the Megazord. There's a scene where Jason says to go into tank mode for some reason. They're in tank mode for like a second. But there's a shot from above him where we see all the other Zords are normal. You see Jason, Billy, Zach, Trini, and Kimberly. All their Zords symbols are in front of them on the console. But Jason, in front of his, is his helmet, the Transsource sword, and then in the middle is actually the Dragon Sword symbol of like the dragon foot. Now, in Sentai footage, could this episode come after the Green Ranger was already in? Yes, it could have. But we won't know. Goldar's still a giant pussy. After they defeat King Sphinx, they go after Goldar, and he vanishes again. And then, at the end of the fight, Jason beats the record. Now, that's all I have for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 4, A Pressing Engagement. But you can tune into the next video, which is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 5, A Different Drum. Now, if you're not familiar with that episode, that's the episode with the deaf girl, where they finally tackled like what you could call it in the 90s and 80s very special episode. This is the first time we really see something like that in Power Rangers. It won't be the last, but it's the first time we see like a special episode. So that's all for this video. Join us for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 5, a different drum, which will be Ranger Legacy 7. Hope those numbers didn't confuse you. And as always, may the power